rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. And, we had Todd Spears on a couple of nights ago, or a couple of episodes ago, and he came on. He gave us, gave me about a full hour. Excellent interview. I highly encourage you guys to go and watch it, not just because I was the interviewer, but because he was the interviewee. Well, anyway, he has a phrasing of time, which is sort of interesting. He calls Central Time God's time. And so before I went live here, we were talking in the chat in Rumble, and they were asking when Trump is speaking, which, to be honest with you, I actually heard like 2 or 3 different times. So I wasn't even really 100% sure until I just got everything kind of started here. But the time, of course, is 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and then 6 p.m. on Pacific time. And so one of our chatters, of course, Ms. T, is from Texas. She basically says that she was like, oh, well, what time does it start? And I said, well, 8 p.m. Central. And then I said, 8 p.m. God's time. And of course, Bonnie immediately jumped on me and was like, okay, Todd. Anyway, just a little funny little thing. All right, we've got that coming up tonight. So obviously I will be ending the program with hopefully simulcasting the president's address to Congress, a joint session of Congress. Now, keep in mind, this is not the State of the Union. Okay. This is not the State of the Union. So yeah, it's not a State of the Union address. There's a reason why it's not a State of the Union address, because Trump hasn't really been in office long enough to give a State of the Union address. And so, the State of the Union is typically done after you've been in office for a year. So there you go. I'm being asked what feed am I going to use? Well, I actually have 2 up. One is, through the Epic Times called NTD, and the other one is PBS. I was going to try and find some of the others, but I was hoping that C-SPAN was covering it. And yeah, so there you go. But anyway. Yeah, all right. So I just got a quick question for everyone. How is the feed for everyone? How is the feed so far? In other words, the last few days I've been doing this thing with Rumble Studio, and I tried it a couple different ways. This is the way that I think that I'm going to continue with, provided that everything is proper and continuing for it. So how is it? How is the feed? Okay, it's good on iPad. I'm seeing my feed is good. Good here and on Rumble from Tommy. So RSBN apparently is supposed to have that. So everything seems to be fine as far as that goes. And the last couple of ones, the last 2 or 3 ones. So how has it been the last couple of times? So just question. Anyway. All right. Yeah. Because I've seen, like, in the Rumble studio, I've actually seen me hitch a few times. So I want to make sure that that's not affecting the actual stream. Like, the stream itself is doing fine. So, yeah, good enough for me. Good enough. Good. I'm clearer. So on and so forth. Okay. And yes, Tommy, Facebook is going to be they're all going to be kind of off kilter in terms of seconds because of the latency, how long it takes the signal to actually catch up to everything. So there you go. Okay. All right, let's get things kicked off tonight proper with the Pledge of Allegiance being led by Coco, Cam, and Sean. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with Sean in particular, Sean is what would be considered a nonverbal autistic, but he gets so excited. I love this. He gets so excited about saying the Pledge of Allegiance that he verbalizes it. And so what you're going to hear in this is you're going to hear the verbal, you're going to hear him saying it in the beginning, then he's going to drop to his normal nonverbal state, and then he comes back at the very end. This is just fantastic. He just gets so excited about this, and I love this one. I love this one. So let's go ahead, and if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hats, place your hand over your hearts, and follow along with Coco, Cam, and Sean as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you for that, Coco, Cam, and Sean, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to get your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style and sending it off to me via email. You can send it either audio or video. I don't really care. I'll do what I need to do with it. And you can send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And buddy, I haven't received anything. I haven't received it from her. So I don't know where she sent it, but I haven't received it. So, yeah. Also too, one of these days, I'm going to have to see sometime in the future. I'm going to have to see if I can make a stop off and say hi to Sean. So anyway, all right. Tonight's headline sponsor. Let's see. Today's Tuesday. Oh my goodness. I didn't get it up. Hold on. I didn't get my sponsorship going here. Give me just a second to find it. I got to get that script, it's because Lord knows I should have it memorized by now, but yeah. Anyway. Okay, so tonight's headline sponsor is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution is established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online, or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Check this thing out. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. They stitched this thing all the way through the leather, binding all of the pages and the leather together. My rumblers say it has sexy rounded corners that don't poke you in the rear or any other place that you might want to pocket this thing. Also, the script just kind of writes itself. 3 Chevy says that all the writers of the Constitution did 5 things this week before they wrote the document. Oh, God, I love these guys. Anyway, it's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with it, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It's buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you receive your civics badge in Scouts. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today and support the show. Also, don't forget to check out the rest of the the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings. And I appreciate them for allowing me to be an affiliate. Goodness, you guys are just hilarious. Hey, if you missed it last night, I received fantastic couple of whiskey glasses. You should go back and take a look, but I've received some fantastic whiskey glasses from my fantastic and wonderful and amazing whiskey warriors. And I thank you all for that. All right. Well, I guess that the fact that Zelensky has now decided that he kind of screwed up. He basically has he's now reached out to Americans and said that Ukraine is ready for peace negotiations. He called the Trump meeting regrettable. Yeah. I guess that's kind of what happens when you all of a sudden see your money train dry up really quick. Because after that meeting, not only did Trump, kind of bash Zelensky a little bit more, but he also suspended payments to Ukraine. You know, I guess the money drying up really was, anyway, not such a great idea. So he made the concession in a lengthy statement posted on social media today, actually, saying that Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table. He also added that last week's meeting did not go the way it was supposed to be, and it's time to make things right. Zelensky wrote, "My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We are ready to work fast to end the war, and the first stages could be the release of prisoners and truce in the sky, ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy, and other civilian infrastructure, and truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same. Then we want to move very fast through all next stages and to work with the U.S. to agree to a strong final deal." Yeah. Anyway. He also finished off the statement with, "We really do value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence, and we remember the moment when things changed when President Trump provided Ukraine with javelins. We are grateful for this." Yeah. He's got, yeah, okay. Like I said, man, when he goes and he comes to the DC area with his hat in hand, he really needs to be, kind of, well, I think he's going to have to apologize a little bit more than this. But anyway, so yeah, there you go. No surprise that he did that fairly quickly, although I don't think he did it quick enough, but that's all right. He did it quick enough as it is. So, all right. So I don't know if anybody saw this, but of course the Democrat hive mind has been out in force because of what is happening tonight with Trump addressing Congress. And if you're on social media at all, I mean, obviously I spend a lot of time on X, not as much on some other places, but there was a video that was put out by, almost the entire Democrat Party. And, yeah, all I can tell you is they have got to have some serious marketing people, like all of them. I mean, I'm talking all of them, from like Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin. Well, I'm trying to think of some of the others that were out there that all basically did the same thing. And I'm not talking about just similarities in terms of what was said, but it was still kind of said in their own fashion. No, I'm talking about it being almost exactly alike. That's what I'm talking about. Almost exactly alike from start to finish. What am I saying? Well, thankfully, Insurrection Barbie over on X put this together. You really got to check this thing out. Oh, here we go. Take a look.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Okay, so let's just stop and take a look here. I can't name everybody here, but I see Elizabeth Warren. I see Cory Booker. I see Charles Schumer, Chucky, good old Chucky. I see Mazie Hirono. Let's see, who else am I seeing? There's Blumenthal. I see him. There's Sticky Dicky Durbin. And then we also have, looks like Sheldon Whitehouse. Folks. Here. Let's just keep it going just so you guys can hear. I mean, oh my gosh, look at almost every single one of them. They're even holding up the freaking microphone almost the exact same way. I mean, it's almost as though they were paraded in and said, here, we're going to put you in front of a teleprompter. All you have to do is read this script. Just read this script exactly the way that it's shown. And there they go. And the clips from January 6th all showed up at the exact same time. There they go. Now they're back. I mean, I know this is hard to hear in terms of understanding all of them. I get it. But I'm doing it for a purpose. These people are like the freaking Borg of Star Trek. All they do is they get their talking points and they run out to go do the talking points. Oh my gosh, folks, I'm telling you, these people, this is part of the reason why, I'll be honest with you, this is part of the reason why they're very hard to necessarily, break into the circling of the wagons with these. Okay. This is just incredible. It's every single one of them. Now, with AI coming out, take a look. What do you think would happen? These people could easily have been AI'd with all of this. Or in other words, like Bonnie points out in Rumble, they have been simulated. It's, well, assimilated, but they're all, seriously. Yeah. Coco to Whiskey. Can we give them Borg numbers? Yep. 7 of 9. 6 of 42. Whatever. My gosh, people, how is it possible that we can have a group of individuals that are so God, I can't even imagine how these people can survive without thinking for themselves. Now, Blumenthal, speaking of morons, Blumenthal was on the Senate floor today. And I was listening to his speech where he was talking about how, President Trump was going to come in and he was going to talk about all these different things. And the first thing that he said, I'm talking like 30 seconds into his speech, he said, well, it was a meeting on the Veterans Administration, by the way. And he's like standing there and he goes, Trump called these people suckers and losers. How many times has that been debunked? How many times have people basically proven that is a falsehood, that was never spoken of? How many times have people who were there come out and said that was never a spoken thing by Trump? But yet here he was on the Senate floor repeating it. And we're talking more than 6 years, 7 years. We're not sending our best to Congress. Let's just put it that way. Really aren't. I wish we would. I wish we could. But anyway, speaking more of morons, there's this piece in Hot Air. And I got to tell you, this is by John Stossel, too, by the way. So here's the piece. Dumb things that socialists promise. A Pew report, and this is kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. A Pew study reports that more than a third of American adults view socialism positively. Wait, what? Well, let's face it, that pretty much covers the entire Democrat Party. But he continues on and he says, little has brought more misery. First in the Soviet Union, then China, Cuba, Nicaragua, now Venezuela. One reason young people support socialism is because their social media feeds show videos made by popular but economically illiterate people. So there apparently is a TikTok star, Madeline Pendleton, who has 1.6 million subscribers. Boy, I could kill to have that kind of following. But anyway, she apparently tells everybody. Now, this is where the danger of the internet comes into play. Okay. Seriously, folks. I tell you the truth. I tell you the facts. If you should go and check that out. And if I'm wrong, call me on the carpet. Okay. Call me on the carpet for it. That's the whole piece out of this. But I I try to give you the facts and the truth, and I usually bring the evidence, the receipts coming in. Okay. But here, okay, this individual says socialism is working better than capitalism 93% of the time. Wait, what? Socialism has never worked. Why do you think places like China totally, they didn't totally abandon it, but they abandoned the idea of socialism and went to more of a market system? As an example, he puts it in here in his piece that where is it? Yeah. China, for an example, China's GDP went from $156 per capita to more than $12,000 per capita, but that only happened after China gave up on what is considered real socialism and started embracing the market-based economy. Hong Kong by itself, which actually adopted capitalism up until the point that China took them back over, had actually raised their per capita GDP to $50,000 per capita. So, yeah. She also, this same person, told her followers that we have all the data showing that socialism does work. And she celebrates it, communism, socialism, they're kind of in the same boat, but because of increased life expectancy. Well, John Stossel proves that wrong because people live the longest in capitalist countries like Japan, averages 85 years, South Korea averages 84 years, the United States lives an average of 79 years. And China by itself is 78 years. Yeah. There's another person who's a social media star named J.T. Chapman. He told his almost 2 million YouTube subscribers, the central idea that unites all socialists is maximizing freedom, democratization of power. Wait, what? You do understand democracy is voting and basically majority rule, right? Well, okay. It's socialism, let's be honest. Socialism, communism, they are majority rule, but the majority is the party, the one and only party, where dissenting voices don't get a chance to necessarily talk at all. Yeah. So there's another popular TikToker called Rathbone that tells his 100,000 subscribers, capitalism prioritizes profits over people, but socialism prioritizes people over profits. More people have been killed in socialist, communist countries than any other regime. When you look at China, when you look at Russia, when you look at North Korea, South, that's like, really? Anyway. So there's Chapman continues and claims innovation can flourish when people are not motivated by profit. Really? Yeah. Okay. Innovation can flourish, but it's the idea of being able to pardon me, but capitalize on that innovation that essentially allows people or drives people to actually innovate. I mean, seriously? Anyway. Oh, they just keep going and going and going. You should probably check this thing out. Now, capitalism by itself, keep in mind, isn't perfect, but capitalism is the only thing that has worked. Yep. It's the only thing that has worked. Well, the Democrats are still trying to figure out why they lost. So apparently they got together and had some sort of a retreat that was put on by a group called, let's see. It was a comeback retreat held by a group called Third Way. Now, the goal of this whole thing, according to this piece in Red State, was to deliberate on why Democrats are struggling with working class voters around cultural issues, the nature of the economic trust gap with this critical group, and ideas for how to address both problems. Okay, well, they got to figure out why they have a cultural disconnect with working class voters and why Democrats are not trusted with the economy. Well, let's start off with things like, throwing out simple biology. Let's also start with things like, this whole idea of a universal basic income, which anybody who is intelligent understands that you can't just get something for nothing. Not even in today's world. Anyway, they also apparently, by the way, the folks at Third Way they're potentially billed, or I don't know if they're self-described or if somebody else said this, but they're billed as more of a center-left kind of thing. So some of the main points, or some of the results, one of the results of the meeting was that the folks at Third Way see what the American people see, which is that it's a party, meaning the Democrats, described as having a faculty lounge problem of being far too judgmental and far too obligated to the radical far left wing of the party. This was a quote from somewhere. Democrats are often viewed as judgmental, out of touch, and dismissive of those without elite education or progressive views. You think? Oh, how many times have I gotten involved with leftist morons on the social medias who have all said, hey, you're just a dumb, MAGA, stupid person who has no education. Really? You recall that I've told you, not that I'm patting myself on the back for this, but I have a bachelor's degree. I also have a higher than average IQ. So anyway, they continue here and they say, this makes the Democrat Party seem disconnected from everyday people. Ain't that a kick in the pants? Anyway, activist groups and progressive staffers push unpopular cultural positions, making it seem like Democrats are more extreme than they actually are. No, you actually are more extreme. Because you want to destroy things like the natural nuclear family. And that you want to make it so that, people can just magically choose whatever thing they want to be. Not just gender. I mean, I'm even saying like, you can, if you're a human, but you can change yourself into a dog, cat, eagle, bird, whatever, stick, whatever it is that you want. Anyway, it continues on. But third way's solution, by the way, is to continue to gaslight the American people, but not in the way that you think. They want to embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery. Oh, yeah. You want to become a conservative. I mean, they also said ban far-left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests. Sounds good. Oh, and here, reconnect with values like hard work, rugged individualism, and entrepreneurialism. Okay, so you want the Democrat Party, this third way wants the Democrat Party to, like, all of a sudden just make a sharp right turn and come back to essentially conservatives. Yeah. Okay. They're still trying to figure out what the hell happened. I mean, that's just basically it. God, I can't even imagine this. Anyway, they're still trying to figure out what the hell happened. And, of course, during all of that, you have their wonderful leaders, their current leaders, such as Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries has a solution, which is secure the border. Wait. Trump just did that. Crossings are lower than they have been in almost 25 years. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, he apparently showed up on some Sunday show appearances going on about inflation, which, of course, by the way, keep in mind, all of the Democrats have been harping on inflation. They don't tell you, of course, that it's their fault that inflation is bad, but they do harp on the idea, like I just showed you in that Borg-like video segment with all of them, you know, talking about the same thing. It's going to take time, people. It's going to take time for these for the things that Trump wants to enact to actually make an effect. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, he went on a show, Wolf Blitzer's show, and yeah, well, here, let me just show you this right here. Let's hope this plays.
National security interests. Look, what we've seen from the Trump administration over the last several weeks is just a flood of unprecedented extremism and a parade of horribles that continue to be unleashed on the American people. While at the same time, the Trump administration is not focused on solving the problems of everyday Americans. We're continuing to make sure that we focus on trying to make life better for everyday Americans. Fundamentally, that's why we were sent to Washington, D.C. We have to drive down the high cost of living. We have to secure the border.
Okay, right there. We have to drive down the cost of living that you created by doing your spending spree. We have to secure the border. And yet, look at the numbers that are right next to my head right here. I mean, in 2022, for those on the audio portion of the program, in 2022, Southwest border encounters in February of 2022 was 166,010. In 2023, that lowered a little bit to 156,630. In 2024, that increased to 189,913. And here in February of 2025, under President Trump, 8,326. I mean, really? Dude, come on, man. And you notice how he always starts, every single one of the times I've heard him speak, he always starts with the extremists or the MAGA extremists or the extreme MAGA Republicans. Guarantee you it's almost one of those three, for sure. And in terms of him talking, like 3 Chevy points out, yeah, the Democrats want to force prices down, but they're doing it in the wrong way. They're trying to put in government controls, government price controls. Richard Nixon tried that. It doesn't work. Price controls don't work. Okay? And that's what they're looking to do. I mean, this guy's a complete moron. I get tired of listening to him, and he's the future of the party in the House. Like, they wanted him, the Democrats wanted him to be the Speaker of the House. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Western Lensman put up this chyron from CNN. Approval for Democrats in Congress, 21% approval, where 68% disapproved. So, anyway, so there you go. Oh, what a mess. Oh, these people, I'm telling you. All right, we are roughly about, we'll say 18 minutes. 18 minutes out from Trump coming on and addressing both houses of Congress for the first time in his second term. What can we expect to hear? Well, Newsmax says that Trump is likely to pledge a new American dream in the speech. They claim that he will likely promise a renewal of the American dream. And that he so that's his theme, is the renewal of the American dream. He's reportedly going to cover 4 areas: his second term achievements so far, at home and abroad, the economy itself, a push for Congress to pass border funding, and any plans for Trump's peace around the globe. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens there in terms of what he has to say. And then here from the Epoch Times, they say Trump is to address joint session of Congress on Tuesday, what to know. So the speech is likely going to see the president providing an overview of his flurry of executive actions and policies over the past 42 days. They suggest that, he posted, Trump posted on Truth Social on March 3rd about tomorrow night will be big. And he said that he's going to tell it like it is throughout the address. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen. He also mentioned that he is going to address the status of the Ukraine deal, which may or may not be back on. I don't know. We'll have to see. He's expected to talk about the efforts through DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. He may talk about Elon Musk's role there. Let's see what else. He's probably going to talk about his crackdown on illegal immigration. And it's highly likely as well that he might even talk about the tariffs. So we'll have to kind of see what happens here. Obviously, we're all going to see what happens here. So, yeah. So, who is delivering the Democrat response? Yeah, full of lies. Senator Elissa Slotkin from Michigan. She won her first term last year while Trump simultaneously carried Michigan by more than 80,000 votes, is scheduled to give the Democrat response to the president's address at 10 p.m. So we'll see. And then Representative Adriano Espaillat, I think that's how I pronounce it, will give the Spanish language version response. And Representative Latifah Simon will speak on behalf of progressives from the Working Families Party. So there you go. They're probably going to reiterate their disagreement with Musk's role in Doge, the federal government, things that are going on at large. And then, of course, do like they did this morning with the attacks on things like prices and inflation. More than likely what they're going to talk about and highlight. All right. Let me go and take a look here and see which one do I want to do here. Oop. Oh, that one died. Let's see. Okay, they're still kind of talking about it in the background. Yeah, I think the better feed might be Epic TV, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Oh, there's Nancy. Nancy Pelosi. Ah, there she is. I suppose we can go with this one for now, just so you have something to, that's weird. Oh, they must have it blanked out. Okay. Oh no, I have it right up here.
You cannot load them on planes. The Air Force sent a C-5, several C-5s to pick them up. The Chinese said, no, you, Mr. U.S. Air Force, you may not take these out of the country. That's what they did when we were at peace. Imagine what they could do, and imagine.
So they're talking in the background about it. This is NTD News is where this is. But anyway. Oh, there's JD Vance. That's a nice sight. Have JD Vance up there on the podium with the whole thing. Yes, that old bag is still breathing. DNK, yeah. Anyway. All right, so we're about, 11 minutes out. Oh, yeah, there it is. 11, presidential address, 11 minutes away. But, of course, everybody, there's Jasmine Crockett, the new So Fresh, So Face, So Stupid AOC, who's right there. Anyway. And, of course, Bonnie is celebrating her Cats winning by 32 points. Ooh, there's Elon. Elon's there. Let's see, who else do we have? Yeah. I mean, I would highly recommend that, there's Lindsey Graham, a couple other people there. Oh, Shifty Schiff. Adam Schiff is there. I wonder if Kash Patel's going to be in the house so he can go and slap the cuffs on him. Anyway. Oh, these people. You know, it's interesting to watch them. And I'll be honest with you. It's very interesting to watch these people. They have what a friend of mine would consider to be a completely self-absorbed image of themselves and their own self-importance in their mind. You know, you've seen so many people who have worked in Congress and even in your state houses and stuff. They get pulled over by the police. Oh, there's cash. All right. There's cash. But you see these people, they get so uptight about themselves and they keep saying stuff like, you know, oh, well, do you know who I am? When they're pulled over, you have those body cam footages and stuff like that. What a bunch of self-important people for the majority, not everybody, but the majority. We have Donald Trump Jr. in the background there. Oh, I see Eric over in the corner, I think. On one side. They're up in the upper level, I believe, of this. They're the guests, the distinguished guests. So, yeah. We'll see what happens here in just a little bit. We're 9 minutes away. So, obviously, J.D. Vance has taken a bunch of hits for his role in that Zelensky blow up. And apparently he also made some comments, I guess, in interviews afterward that a lot of people have, at least a lot of people who support Ukraine, they all tried to, bash him a little bit. So we'll have to see. Yep. There's Eric. Oh, God. Go from a good one to a bad one. Swapping. Okay. Looks like they're getting ready. They've got copies of the speech. And yes, there will not be a speech tearing up on camera by Nancy Pelosi, because thankfully she's not the Speaker of the House anymore. All right. So anyway, all right. So it looks like they're getting ready to bring him in or bring it to order. So here we go.
Escort the President of the United States into the chamber, the following: the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise; the gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer; the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McClain; the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson; the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthaler; the gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore; the gentlewoman from Indiana, Mrs. Houchin; the gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Hearn; the gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries; the gentlewoman from Massachusetts, Ms. Clark; the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar; the gentleman from California, Mr. Liu; the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Neguse; the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Delbene; the gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. Dingle.
The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber. The Senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. The Senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso. The Senator from Arkansas, Mr. Cotton. The Senator from Oklahoma, Mr. Lankford. The Senator from West Virginia, Mrs. Capito. The Senator from South Carolina, Mr. Scott. The Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. The Senator from New Jersey, Mr. Booker. The Senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin.
The members of the escort committee will exit the chamber through the lobby doors.
Obviously, this is all a matter of pomp and circumstance, as a part of the bringing of the president or bringing the president in.
This time.
So many this time.
That is one thing about our American politics. We tend to lean on tradition.
And here we are taking a live look into the House chamber where
And yeah, so these guys are going to just sit and kind of chat. So, oh, here we go. Wait. Some special guests.
Mr. Speaker, Jonathan Jackson.
And while we're waiting for the president to make his way into the chamber, I guess back to the matter at hand, which is the speech, Katie. Right off the top, we've been talking a lot about Doge, the economy. Scott touched upon the markets going a little bit haywire over the past 2 days. Do you anticipate him to address that?
I do anticipate him addressing the economy. Whether he talks about the market specifically, President Trump is someone who loves to focus on the positive. So I don't necessarily see him talking about that specifically, but I do believe he's going to talk about how it is going to be, as he said many times, a golden age for America. He's going to use that phrase again and again. We see it spreading across the entire Republican Party message. I see him doing that. I see him talking about successes at the border. He's going to talk about how low those numbers are. President Trump loves numbers. He loves when they're big, really small, nothing in the middle. So he's going to talk about how great the numbers are going to be for the economy and all the investments he's brought into this country, and he's going to talk about how low the numbers are at the border. That's my summary of what I expect to hear right away.
I want to talk. I was glad to hear Iris say he's going to talk about eggs. We've heard about eggs a few times now. I got to tell you, I have.
Okay, I'm going to cut them off for just a little bit here.
And I've found that if you kill all your chickens, you're not going to get any eggs.
Thank you.
Joe Biden killed
I don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, so we obviously, again, we have a lot of pomp and circumstance here. So this is, it looks like the Supreme Court. Yes, the members of the Supreme Court are joining in the chambers right now. And of course, a lot of them are in their robes. Actually, all of them are in their robes, it looks like. Not everybody is there, though. Interesting. So Clarence Thomas doesn't look like he is present in this. So we're just going to have to turn that down.
Chamber there. But yes, please, Bart.
I said enough about eggs. You want to hear about honeybees sometime?
Okay. So yeah, they're obviously they're talking about eggs and some things that's going on. Prices of eggs have gone up mainly just because of the fact that they essentially destroyed a lot of the birds for the bird flu. So there's that. Let's see what else. They're anticipating, we're 2 minutes away. We are anticipating the arrival of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And we are waiting for his arrival. Trump will address the joint session of Congress in just a few minutes. Countdown is now down to 1 minute, and this is NTD News. There's Elena Kagan and, of course, John Roberts. On the screen, both they just arrived. The Supreme Court of the United States had just arrived. So there's the White House. They've got a picture of the White House up.
Genuine. I'm not saying you're not,
Nice.
but let's be genuine about the sweep. He got 49% of the vote, the total vote.
They're still talking about this whole thing, which... Did anybody see Dan Bongino's show? or was it Dan? No, I was watching somebody. Somebody was taking the Stephen A. Miller. Oh no, it was the hot seat, where Stephen A. Miller like tore a new one in Joy Behar, because Joy Behar was saying just this exact thing, that Donald Trump didn't get a mandate. And yeah, Stephen A. Miller, or sorry, Stephen A. Smith went through and like just ripped him a new one, ripped her a new one. Sorry, I misspoke. But anyway.
And to talk to the American people, working class, right?
Yeah.
Democrats aren't a group of elites. Democrats are
So we're waiting on the President of the United States. I kind of have the audio in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. I know I'm barely hearing it right now, but I've got it turned down because I don't want to necessarily listen to these two. They're chit-chatting about stuff that doesn't seem to necessarily make any difference in terms of what's going on here. So
one of my favorite things about watching a joint session,
Katie Frost,
is who pushes their way to the hall, to the aisle. That tells you right now who either wants to make sure they're seen on camera for the folks back home, or who is running for higher office. This is kind of like the Oscars for political nerds like myself. So this is always a very fun thing to watch.
Or they got there late.
They got there late. To Katie's point, one of those people always pushing to the front was former Missouri Congressman Billy Long, who I think every 4 years, or at least a few, that President Trump was in office in his first term, he would have him sign his tie, and now he's the director of the IRS.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, it worked.
Never hurts to get a little FaceTime.
he got an appointment at least.
I don't know if we'll get another iconic moment, though. There was that moment when President Biden was doing his State of the Union, and he walked in, and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was wearing a MAGA hat.
Mm-hmm.
You used to remember that? Mm-hmm. That came, that was, there she is right now on the screen, Congresswoman Greene.
Devil.
I would say the Congresswoman, but, we can agree to disagree there.
I respect her title and her office.
And that may have been the night, Katie, where the Congresswoman gave President Biden the badge or the pin with Lincoln Riley's name on it.
Once again, we're waiting on President Trump to show up.
One of Lincoln Riley's
he's obviously running behind. Of course, he's hardly ever on time, to be honest with you.
The decorum of the Democrats.
There's Nancy Pelosi, which, by the way, a lot of the ladies in the audience are wearing pink because it is Breast Cancer Awareness.
As well as Schumer, the Democratic delegation.
But I'm not exactly sure what the situation is there.
We'll see. Democrats are out of power, and
we are again awaiting the arrival of the president.
To re-message.
Oh, here we go. We've got some people coming in.
What they stand for. It's going to take a lot more than that. I agree with you.
Maybe not.
We've got 2 years to try to get it together.
That's Melania.
Another 4 years, the White House and the Senate. We'll see. A lot of work.
There she is, the First Lady of the United States coming in.
The chamber here. We're going to take a look as the First Lady walks in and see who greets her.
Absolutely stunning First Lady. She arrives with cheers and claps, and there she is on the upper deck. She's meeting and greeting with some of the other distinguished and honored guests that are there. Walsh was there in the crowd.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
First, they announced the cabinet. Marco Rubio in the front, letting everybody in. Hegseth back there. He's the third one back. Coming in.
That's true.
Pam Bondi is in the line. And of course,
right now making
it's going to take a little bit for all of these people to get through. You know, I got to be honest with you. I don't understand this whole thing about shaking hands as they're coming in, because all that does is slow things down. There's RFK. There's
Secretary Brooke Rollins, Doug Burgum.
Yeah.
What are we watching for here, Katie?
Well, what I'm noticing is the noticeable chill in the air from the Democratic side. You know, there's not even it's nice here. I mean, it is complete silence when you walk down that aisle. But it's very interesting to watch. But there's Congressman Tim Burchett not wearing his Carhartt jacket for some reason. He decided to leave that at home tonight. Of course, we have Pete Hegseth. He has actually said he's very going to welcome DOJ into the Defense Department, which is something, candidly, they need, because when you think about it, the Department of Defense has failed to pass every single audit since 2018. They need to definitely get their financial house in order, and bringing some outside folks in will do the trick there, I certainly hope.
It'll be interesting to see how much DOJ impacts the military, if you will. The other part of DOJ that we need to be looking at as we move forward, and what the president's going to say, is the conflict of interest that on DOJ and Elon Musk, and whether he's a special employee or not, or his people are there. You know, the FAA, NASA, I think the Department of Health and Human Services. Elon Musk companies have billions of dollars of contracts, and whether he's the lead or his people are in there getting access to this information, including competitive information from those who compete against him, right? Who's watching this ethics issue and this conflict of interest issue? You can't be in the government, you can't run the government and be a government contractor at the same time. Look for the courts. At some point in time, that lawsuit is coming because the IGs aren't there in these agencies anymore, or friendly IGs are being reappointed, and that conflict is not going away. How do the Republicans reconcile that? We'll see.
And I think what we're going to...
That's a legitimate issue.
Hey, I just got to say this, is if anybody has watched Designated Survivor, whenever you see something like this, you tend to think, okay, what if something happened? Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Have left defense spending alone. Democrats come in and cut defense spending. Republicans used to come in and cut entitlement spending. But what we're looking at is the phenomenon we saw with USAID, where only 4%, 5% of the spending is going to the actual intended recipient of the spending. The dirty secret, not a little one, the dirty big secret of defense spending is very little of it goes to actually fighting wars. It goes to weapons systems and consultants. And I think this is another...
companies.
Yes, U.S. companies. Right. Yes, I think is another Gordian knot moment where we're going to look at it and say, do we really need to spend this much money on a hammer or even that much money on a weapons system when what we really need, you know, we're being beaten by goat herds with fertilizer.
I agree.
Or we're being beaten by people with off-the-shelf drones and a little bit of
just muttered some of all fears.
Yep. We need to look at this in a new way. And another issue that we've all forgotten about, I saw Riley Gaines there. That is going to be a huge issue tonight. The idea of men in women's sports, men in women's bathrooms, men in women's locker rooms, men in women's spaces.
Yes.
That is an issue that has 90%, there's a 90% almost total consensus among the American people. And the Democrats voted as a bloc to, that's the hill that they're going to die on?
What they voted as a bloc? What?
Well, the bill came forward in the United States Senate to remove Title IX, extending that to a gender identity. But if this issue has come right to the forefront yet again because of something that happened in the state of Maine, state close to my heart, it's where my grandparents are from. There was a young athlete who competed as a male last year, and he tied for 5th. Competed this year as a female, using the name of Katie, might I add, and won the statewide championship. This was brought to the attention by my very good friend, State Representative Laurel Libby. She put it out on social media, pointing out the obvious problems, and this is punishing our young girls. And what happened? President Trump saw it. He got that interaction with Governor Mills that you saw, where she told him she would see him in court. She wasn't going to back down from allowing this to happen in her state. And then the State House of Maine censured Representative Libby last week. She's no longer allowed to vote in that seat or speak in the State House. And this is an issue, but let me just go back real quick. It's tied up in Maine. You talked about those districts?
Yes.
The Maine 2nd? Thank you very much, Governor Mills. We're going to flip the Maine 2nd on that. And not only can we do that, we can flip the Maine State House. It only had a 60 votes. Period, across 3 key swing districts, is a controlled balance of power in the Maine State House, and the Maine legislature chooses the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. So thank you very much, Governor Mills.
Well, we'll see you in court.
But Scott,
I'll see you in the ballot box and I'll beat you there.
Well, that's to Katie's point,
the most important
this issue of men in women's sports, it does seem to be something that is appealing to Democrats in terms of not being for it. It's going to go beyond, and obviously we saw that in this election, but yet it appears as though some leaders are still doubling down. Is this a miscalculation?
It's not a miscalculation. There's a legal aspect of this, and there's a political aspect of this. I do think most Americans, based on polling, have said this is a troubling issue because I've got 3 daughters and a granddaughter. There are a lot of Democrats who support a moderate approach to this thing, but the law, Title IX, protects. And all the governor of Maine was doing was implementing the law and following the law. And until the courts say Title IX will not.
By the way, this guy is Scott Bolton, former chair of the D.C. Democrat Party. So of course he's
do or not do
towing the party line.
Orders, they only go to whether the federal they're going to get federal funding or not. It is not the law. The laws that protect persons of a protected class are still in place. 1983, and all the other protections of civil rights and human rights in this country are still the law of the land. And so all these executive orders do is say is the government isn't going to fund you if you don't follow this executive order. It's not a really powerful piece, not at all. Wait for the courts to weigh in, and they will weigh in given who's in charge of the White House right now.
Yeah. You know how the whole transgender issue started?
Remember, I said there's a legal part to this and a political part.
Let's talk about the legal part. Let's talk about Title IX. Title IX was passed by Congress. Congress never once said that Title IX referred to gender identity. You know who did? An Assistant Secretary of Education in the Obama administration wrote what they call a Dear Colleague letter to schools and colleges and universities around the country and said, Dear colleague, principal, school board member, from this day forward, we consider Title IX's sex protections, sex discrimination protections to apply to gender identity. It wasn't even an executive order. It was not. It is not the law.
I understand.
It is not the law. It is an executive agency. Somebody. When I was the acting assistant secretary of energy, I could sign my name to a document, and it made it. It made it the executive. That's all that happened. And that changed America for 15 years, 10 years.
So let me say
this. That's all there is to it.
Title IX
is not the law.
Okay, it is the law because the courts have upheld that interpretation of Title IX. And Title IX is written in such a broad manner that interpretation by the executive agency has been not only upheld, but the law itself is broad enough to include that interpretation. Until the courts, Article III courts, the federal court or the Supreme Court, actually strikes that down, that protection remains in place. You may not like it, but it's the law.
But you're giving one Article III judge who, in some cases, was just named 3 weeks before the president was inaugurated.
Not a fair criticism.
Power
they were just
over the entire nation.
Well, until the U.S. Supreme Court strikes it down, that's the law.
All right, well,
States have to follow it.
We've been having the legal debate for a long time.
We'll pause just for a moment here as the president of the United States makes his way into the chamber, the House chamber.
Here comes President Trump. Into the chamber, he's shaking the hands of people. This part drives me crazy. It really does. Just don't let the guy walk through and give his speech. Shake hands afterward. I mean, seriously. If I were to ever become president, I would definitely tell everybody, look, just stay out of my way. sorry. I'd just be like, look, you save the handshaking and everything for afterward. I got a job to do. There'd be a lot of things that would change if I were to ever become president. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, is wearing her red hat. Yep. Now, there is a big difference, I'm going to tell you, just between Donald Trump at 78 and Joe Biden at 80. So, anyway. You can hear people talking to him saying, Mr. President, Mr. President. Everybody's clapping. Well, maybe not everybody, but yeah. Anyway, there's Chip Roy. I see Chip Roy over there. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is the part that, I mean, I understand the pomp and circumstance, but yeah. Oh, there he is greeting Kavanaugh. He's greeting the members of the Supreme Court. Now he's on to Amy Coney Barrett. He's greeting them. Meeting with members of his military staff. Obviously, there's a chant for USA. Marjorie Taylor Greene is wearing a hat that says Trump is right about everything. And here he comes. Greeting Mike Johnson and, of course, his VP. Her hat said Trump is right about everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States, members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back. 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started. I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. Never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country. Counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. Over the past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many. And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that? I don't know about that list, but we'll take it. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again. Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction. To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job. And we've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed, for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important. You should be hired based on merit. And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. Years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding. If you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer. What I have just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world. Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again. Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control, and we're working hard to get it back down, Secretary. Do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA. To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight. Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma, $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America, $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program, $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. We know what we're doing. We should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taking back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them. And we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does. And it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229 One person between the age of 240 and 249, and one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years, more than 100 years older than our country. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families. And today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it. With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country, we will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money. Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change. For nearly 100 years, the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. Any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that. But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax. Thank you. It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America. And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country. First term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was. And so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day was cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. if they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market. There's a lot of that, too. They don't even allow us in their market. We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before. I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer. Thanks to our America First policies we're putting into place, we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment. Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on earth right here in the USA. And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people, and they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to. A new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies. They're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen. And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard. Has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raised 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us, very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize another person who has devoted herself to foster care community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person, our magnificent First Lady of the United States. Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative and is poised to complete her education and become a teacher. And Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image produced by a peer. With Elliston's help, the Senate just passed the Take It Down Act, and this is so important. Thank you very much, John. John Thune, thank you. Stand up, John. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And thank you to John Thune and the Senate. Great job. To criminalize the publication of such images online is a terrible, terrible thing. And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast. And I want to thank Tom Homan and Christy. I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody, Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren. Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley. Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. Thank you. Joe Biden didn't just open our borders, he flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know Alexis Nungary from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are 2 illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order? Thank you very much. All 3 savages charged with Jocelyn and Lakin's murders were members of the Venezuelan prison gang, the toughest gang, they say, in the world, known as Tren de Aragua. 2 weeks ago, I officially designated this gang, along with MS-13 and the bloodthirsty Mexican drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations. They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever. With us this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol Agent Roberto Ortiz. Great guy. In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them, Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the prints of that event, and it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took, and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much. Thank you, Roberta. And I actually got to know him on my many calls to the border. He's a great gentleman. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing. Five nights ago, Mexican authorities, because of our tariff policies being imposed on them, think of this, handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever. But we need Mexico and Canada to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi. Good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you. Thank you, Cash. They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon will respect it. This also includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and we'll never forget them. And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. 1 year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral. The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests, and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest, and we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets, and we're going to do it fast. Got to stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here. I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer, and tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law. I'm also asking for a new crime bill getting tough on repeat offenders while enhancing protections for America's police officers so they can do their jobs without fear of their lives being totally destroyed. They don't want to be killed. We're not going to let them be killed. Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new presidential commission to make America healthy again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. With the name Kennedy, you would have thought everybody over here would have been cheering. How quickly they forget. Our goal is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000. And now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong. 1 in 36. Think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby, good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you. Thank you. My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January, little John and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology. I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie. And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you. Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better? Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations. And he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference. And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a six-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places, they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships. We don't make them anymore very much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon. It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it. Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1, but that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it. He got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes. And I'm either very, very happy about that or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco. He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice. And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, most of them, whose children were murdered, and the many people that were so badly, over 42 people, so badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day. Such incompetence was shown. That when Putin saw what happened, I guess he said, wow, maybe this is my chance. That's how bad it was. Should have never happened. Grossly incompetent people. I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. Just spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call. Every one of them called, and everybody was on the line, and They did nothing but cry with happiness. They were very happy, as happy as you can be under those circumstances. Their child, brother, sister, son, daughter was killed for no reason whatsoever. In the Middle East, we're bringing back our hostages from Gaza. In my first term, we achieved one of the most groundbreaking peace agreements in generations, the Abraham Accords. And now we're going to build on that foundation to create a more peaceful and prosperous future for the entire region. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. People have been talking about that so much lately with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. It's a rough neighborhood, actually. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes. $2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans. But I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. That didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides. Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia and sentenced to 14 years in a penal colony. Rough stuff. The previous administration barely lifted a finger to help him. They knew he was innocent, but they had no idea where to begin. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight. To Mark and his great mom, we are delighted to have you safe and sound and with us. As fate would have it, Mark Fogel was born in a small rural town in Butler, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Where his mother has lived for the past 78 years. I just happened to go there last July 13th for a rally. That was not pleasant. And that is where I met his beautiful mom right before I walked onto that stage. And I told her I would not forget what she said about her son. And I never did I? Never forgot. Less than 10 minutes later, at that same rally, gunfire rang out, and a sick and deranged assassin unloaded 8 bullets from his sniper's perch into a crowd of many thousands of people. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not so lucky. Corey Comparator was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father, and above all, a protector. When the sound of gunshots pierced the air, it was a horrible sound. Corey knew instantly what it was and what to do. He threw himself on top of his wife and daughters and shielded them from the bullets with his own body. Corey was hit really hard. You know the story from there. He sacrificed his life to save theirs. 2 others, very fine people, were also seriously hit. But thankfully, with the help of 2 great country doctors, he thought they were gone and they were saved. So those doctors had great talent. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their 2 beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Thank you. To Helen, Allison, and Kaylee, Corey is looking down on his 3 beautiful ladies right now, and he is cheering you on. He loves you. He is cheering you on. Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. Thank you. Thank you very much. From the Patriots of Lexington and Concord, to the heroes of Gettysburg and Normandy, from the warriors who crossed the Delaware to the trailblazers who climbed the Rockies, and from the legends who soared at Kitty Hawk to the astronauts who touched the moon. Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil of a perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways, and graced the world with American marvels like the Empire State Building, the mighty Hoover Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge. They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, and vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age, these workers who poured their sweat into the skylines of our cities, these warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. Now it is our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty. And it is our turn to take America's destiny into our own hands and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest era. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth. We are going to create the highest quality of life, build the safest and wealthiest and healthiest and most vital communities anywhere in the world. We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we are going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond. And through it all, we are going to rediscover the unstoppable power of the American spirit. And we are going to renew unlimited promise of the American dream. Every single day, we will stand up and we will fight, fight, fight for the country our citizens believe in and for the country our people deserve. My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future, because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
All right. right, everybody. Well, that is I would rate that as probably one of his best speeches that I've ever heard. He's definitely highlighted all of his accomplishments for certain. And everything that he's done in the last 42 days. Can you believe all of that was done in 42 days? Wow. All of his executive orders, the things that he's done for America, and the plan that he is pushing forward for everything. I mean, the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you done with winning yet? Are you done with winning yet? I know I'm not. I think we need more.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We need much more winning.
Thank you. I see you teaching young people to love and I'm trying to. Great guy. Thank you. Best your favorite. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate
President Trump is
thank you again. Thank you.
Shaking hands on the way out.
So good. So good, sir.
Talking to the Supreme Court, and now he's with his cabinet members.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good job, Mr. President. Thanks.
Great.
Great.
Chip Roy.
One of your best speeches.
Thanks again, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for the phone call last night, too. Thank you.
Lauren Boebert.
Thank you. I'll do just give me the information.
This is definitely, like I was saying, this is definitely one of the better speeches that I've ever heard coming from this man. He stayed on point. He did what he intended on doing, and got a bunch of zingers toward the Democrats, which were well deserved by them, by the way. But yeah, it was a fantastic speech, and we'll just have to see how much more stuff is going to come from this fantastic White House. And he also threw down the gauntlet to a couple of things. He threw down the gauntlet to both Mike Johnson as well as John Thune to get things taken care of. That he wanted to see things codified in the near future, and to be able to sign those bills into law. So we'll just have to see if these folks are going to be able to get things taken care of. And he wanted to show his human side, of course, by having all of those people there that he had invited to announce several things. For an example, that one young man, he got to go to West Point. He announced the capture and subsequent transfer of the individual responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing, the planner, coming here. Just a fantastic speech. Not a State of the Union, but that's okay. He didn't need it. Fantastic speech. All right, folks. I am going to leave. I'm going to leave you all for the night. Thank you for joining. Glad to have carried his entire speech the entire time. Before you head off, though, make sure that you head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, before you take off, don't forget to hit those thumbs up and like buttons across all of my platforms. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Whiskey Wednesday. Have a great rest of your evening. That was a fantastic speech by a fantastic man. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.